Good morning. Good morning. Here we are live. And I do mean live. This is my first Saturday morning broadcast that I'm actually streaming live out to YouTube. Something that I've tried already a couple of times with video recaps and had some success with it. Basically because this means now I don't have to record everything on my computer, then spend like an hour and 20 minutes uploading it to the internet. I can actually just go ahead and live stream it like I'm doing now, and then just post the link over to my blog. Cuts down on a lot of time. And so this is the first one, and I'm actually doing it on a public link, which means if you happen to be out on my blog if you happen to be out on my YouTube channel sometime between 9 and 9:30 in the morning next Saturday, you may see this pop up. I'm not quite certain how you know that this actually pops up. I have to look into that. It's kind of weird. I have to figure out how to actually do that. Oh man, now I got it. Okay, well, there's something weird here. I can't get rid of it now. Okay, so we'll figure it out. Anyway. There we go. There. I'm done messing. So, what has went on this week? Boy, a lot of stuff. None of it writing related. I'm sorry to say. I've spent a lot of time thinking about writing and thinking about stories. But I haven't actually sat down and done anything. Now, one of the things that I have done is I did a couple of video recaps using this live streaming because I figure I've been away from the Snarking Dead long enough. Fear the Walking Dead is going to start up next Sunday, and I really need to get back into the recapping. So I'm trying to catch up through my backlog, and I'm shooting for when next Sunday rolls around, I'll actually start doing some video recaps. Next Sunday, however, also happens to be the day of our next bout. So I probably won't get the recap out until after I watch the episode Monday morning. Yeah, it just works out that way. It does. It works out that way. But yeah, as I told Rachel, I've been away from it for long enough. I think it's time to get back in and start carrying my weight. I did release a video on the first recap that I did video-wise, pretty much explaining, mentally what I've been going through and how it's really affected my ability to do a lot of things. So I'm hoping this kind of kicks me out of that old, get back into writing. And if I can get back into writing and get that thing taken care of with recapping, then maybe get back into the novel. I really do. I need to do something because lately I've been just kind of like laying around, and I need to get revitalized. In fact, I actually went to bed about 1:30 last night. I was watching both Heat and LA Confidential back to back because they were on Netflix for free, and those are like two of my favorite movies. So I watched those, went to bed at about 1:30, and woke up like at 5:30 in the morning. So I was really tired when I got up. And then I sat down in my recliner probably about 7:30 and fell asleep. Now, I just woke up right before I started recording. I woke up like right at 9 o'clock. And I will probably take another nap this afternoon because I'm going to a bout in Dutchland, which is a double header. And I'll be down there from like 5 in the afternoon till probably about 9:30 at night. Derby. It consumes my life these days. But there's something else I need to take care of too, and that is I need to go out and get my eyebrows plucked. I need to get them all nice and on fleek, as they say, and I need to get my nails done. And there's a very good reason for this. Last Sunday, when I was out, or was it last Monday? I can't remember. I have to go back and look. Because I don't remember the exact date. It might have been Sunday. It might have been Sunday afternoon because I got out and was wandering around. I can't remember. Anyway, I was invited to a mixer put on by the Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce of the Harrisburg area. Well, since I consider myself a lesbian, and I am, and a trans lesbian at that, I definitely fit into the LGBT part of the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm hoping to I'm going to get all, dressed up and shit and go to this. Probably wear a nice pair of slacks, nice top, some semi-dressy shoes. I'll probably wear my Mary Janes. And I went out to Vistaprint, and I had 100 business cards printed up that say Cassidy Frazee, designer, analyst, writer, derby girl. And if anyone wants an explanation of what that means, it's just like, the first three are what I do. The last one is what I am. And by going out and doing derby at my age, it shows that I have a certain amount of tenacity. I don't view my age as being a limiting factor in what I can do. It means I'm still sharp and I'm still capable of getting out there and doing things that people half my age do. And then, of course, it has my phone number and my email address on there. So start passing those out. This is what is known in the business as networking. And what comes of networking is jobs. And that's what I'm hoping for, because I'm going to have to tap into my 401k here again. And I think based on what I'm going to be taking out this time, I'll have enough money to get me through to like either the end of July or the middle of September. After that, it gets iffy. Iffy as in, I don't know what I'm going to do if I'm not working by that time. I may actually start applying for assistance for like food and shit. I hate to do that. I've never had to do that, but I may have to do that. What can I tell you? So this is one of those things where, I'm gambling on some networking. If you've got a position for me, if it pays $35,000, $40,000 a year, I'll take it because I don't really need that much right now. Just need enough to get back on my feet, and then we'll go from there. And the fact that I'm 60 years old, so what? A lot of people don't even know I'm 60 years old. If I don't tell people how old I am, they won't know. Seriously, most people are going to assume I'm like 40 years old, and I have had that happen a lot. People, like, when they find out I'm 60, they freak. They really did. I actually had a couple of refs at an after party last year when I told them I was 60. They refused to believe me until I showed them my driver's license. They did. They just kept swearing up and down that there was no way I could be 60. I had to be 40. I was putting them on, and I pulled out my driver's license and showed it to them. And then they were both, oh my God, yeah, you're 60. Woo. So there's that. And speaking of driver's license, it's another thing this week. I got to start making plans to get my car in, to get it inspected so I can get tags. I'm finally making the last push to basically make Pennsylvania my home state. And after I get tags for the car, which are due at the end of this month, then I'll have to get a new driver's license because my driver's license expires on my birthday next month. So I got all this shit coming up at once. And it's just like, oh God, April is going to be tough. I still haven't heard back from tax preparation, which my soon-to-be ex-wife was taking care of. but I don't need to because I know I'm going to owe a lot of money, and that's just going to be another nightmare I have to take care of. And I think that's going to come out of whatever money we made off the house, which is, it's probably going to eat into that considerably. So at that point, I'll just tell my wife, you get the rest. Don't worry about it. I'm too nice of a person. Yeah. So all of that has gone on. I'm really looking forward to doing the Chamber of Commerce. I'm hoping to make a really good impression. I've got like these nice like burgundy slacks I think I'm going to wear. I bought them back in October and I've never worn them. In fact, I even forgot I had them, so it'll be dressy, but not too dressy. And I think I'll wear a nice blouse with a sweater over it, something that will almost match. So here's crossing my fingers, hoping that works out. But yeah, I've got to make an appointment to get in and get my nails done either on Monday or Tuesday. I'm hoping to shoot for Tuesday because I have Tuesday open all day. This last Tuesday, I didn't go to practice. It's like one of the first times I've called off practice where I wasn't injured. I called off because I was feeling sick. I started getting progressively sicker in the afternoon, and I felt like I was going to throw up by about 5:30. And then I fell asleep. And when I woke up, it was like 7:45. So I messaged my coaches and I said, look, I'm not going to make it in tonight. I don't feel good. And I'm sorry for the late PM, but I just woke up. I fell asleep about an hour and a half ago, and I just woke up, so I'm sorry about that. So they didn't say anything, but I followed protocol, which is to send a PM in and say, I'm not going to be in. I'm sorry. And I apologize for the late PMing. Otherwise, I would have gotten you earlier. And since I normally don't do that, since I normally will come in no matter what, they know if I'm not in, it's because I'm not feeling good or I'm hurt. I don't just call off and then go screw around and do shit. So, but speaking of getting out yesterday, not last night. I didn't get out last night. I watched movies last night. But speaking of getting out yesterday, I did something that I had never done before. And it's something I've actually been planning all week because I ordered some new gear for my skates. And it came. And I waited until yesterday because yesterday was about 55 degrees and sunny without a lot of wind. So it was actually a nice day to get outside. Now, here in Harrisburg, since I'm only like a block from the river, I mean, literally, there is a block separating me from Front Street. And Front Street is like right on the river. And the only thing between Front Street and the river is what we call the Greenbelt, the River Park, the Greenbelt River Park. And it actually runs from about 2 blocks south of me all the way up, almost all the way to 81. And there's a trail. It's like a bike trail, hiking trail, running trail, whatever you want to call it. And it goes for about 3 miles. And it only crosses 2 streets. You have to cross Market Street and you have to cross Foster. And I'm only a block from Foster. I mean, I'm only a block from Market Street. The Market Street Bridge is, before they put the new floor on the hospital across the street from me, you could see the bridge from my apartment. Now you can't, but no great loss there. Anyway, since it was so nice, I put my safety gear in a knapsack, hooked up my helmet, got my mouthpiece, threw in a couple of tools and some tape just in case I needed it, and bungeed my skates around my shoulder and went over to the Market Street Bridge, sat down, and got geared up so I could go outdoor skating. It was something I had been planning. I wanted to skate the length of the Greenbelt pathway. Now, not the whole length. I missed probably about, I don't know, third of a mile, almost half a mile, by not skating the part that was to the south of Market Street. But I skated the rest. I mean, I went all the way to the end. And it was an experience because, for one, I'm breaking in the wheels to start with. Two, I've never skated on outdoor surfaces before. So it's a real experience learning how to adapt. And very quickly, I found out there's different types of path out there. Some of it's rough, some of it isn't. The rough stuff is rough, and you feel it. I mean, you feel it jarring your feet, you feel it jarring your legs. Cobblestone is a bitch to skate on. You hit cobblestone and you just instantly start almost flailing about like you don't know what's going to happen. And fortunately, being down in derby position, it helps because you've got a wider stance and you've got some bounce in your legs. You know, a year ago, if I tried skating like this, I would have been on my ass so many times. It wouldn't have been funny. And then there was one section where I had to skate over flagstones, which I didn't do well. I actually steered toward a guardrail and grabbed on and then got out of there, just like toe stopped my way out because skating on flagstones was a pain in the ass. It was just really, really hard. But for the most part, it was hardback. It's not concrete. Can't think of the name. Asphalt. It was hardback asphalt. So it was hard packed. And it was, I mean, you could feel the vibrations, but it wasn't that bad. What really makes it bad is when you're like hitting twigs, or worse yet, those little black gravel pebbles, which, by the way, I had to cross Market Street and discovered right away those things are such a pain in the ass because it's hard to skate into them. I mean, you basically hit them and they stop your wheels. So you kind of have to like toe stop step off the curb, get on the road, then skate quickly across the road, which I did, and then kind of come to a stop and toe step up onto the curb again. You also, where the crosswalk is and they got the stuff painted, you don't want to hit that paint because that's a raised protuberance, and you hit it and it just like, you feel it pitching you forward because it's halting your velocity. And I also learned when you're skating down a sidewalk, because there's one section near the Harrisburg Sunken Gardens, which is up around, I think it's, let's say Verbeke Street or Riley. Every third crack is usually a wider track to handle compression and expansion. So it's like boing, 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 boom. Boing, boing, boom, like that. So you learn when you're skating to step over those. And, I can do that now. I did. It was just like, whenever I'd feel it, I'd step over it. And it's the same thing whenever you'd find like a change up in the pavement, I would just step over the crack because I learned real quickly, if you hit that crack, especially at any kind of speed, it's going to like stop you, and it threatens to pitch you forward. So you don't want to sprawl out on that when you're skating along at maybe 15 miles an hour, which I was at a couple of points yesterday. And the reason I was out and skating, and I got my skates here so I can show you, is I had these wheels on. These are Poison Hybrids. And as you can see, they're real thick and they're soft. They are what we call an 84A in hardness. That means they're real soft. The lower the number, the softer they are. And in fact, they're actually kind of translucent. From where I'm at, I can actually see through the wheel. These are kind of like the premier outdoor indoor wheels. You use these when you need extra grip. And what we mean by 84A, that's the hardness as determined on a dial meter. So you can see that's the wheel that I had on yesterday. They're nice and thick and they're soft. So I had a lot of grip on some crappy surfaces. This is the wheel I had on there. And as you can see, this is a 93A, which means it's a harder wheel, which doesn't give me as much grip, but it allows me to go faster. If I had worn these out yesterday, well, one, I would have torn them apart. And two, I probably would have killed myself because I'd have been sliding all over the place. But yeah, I had 4 of these already. I'd actually paid somebody $20. They had a pair of 4 that they didn't want anymore. And so, I bought them off of them. So I had to buy 4 more, which was a real pain in the ass because the ones I wanted in a pack of 4, I couldn't get. I needed a 59 millimeter and everybody was selling the 63. And then Amazon had the 59 millimeters, but they wanted to sell me a pack of 4, and a pack of 8. And I'm like, I don't need 8. I just need 4. So finally I found a place that was selling 4. I bought 4. I bought bearings for all skates. I popped them in and put them on yesterday. And it was a real treat. I had a lot of fun. I actually brought my phone with me and got my earbuds and stuck them in and dropped my helmet down over the earbuds and was playing music. I had a little pouch on my backpack. I had a backpack with me. So once my gear was off, I threw my shoes in there. And I had my keys and my wallet in there as well. And I was out skating with my backpack on. I had my phone here and I was listening to music. I mean, it's just like, it was kind of a cool thing. Going down, it took me a while. I was taking my time. I snapped a couple of photos. And I will post those photos in the blog here so you can actually see what was going on. I took one in front of the governor's mansion. I took another one at the area where Front Street meets up with, it actually turns into a 2-way street. And then I skated the last 3/4 of a mile down the Greenbelt to the very end. I got a picture there. That was rough because that part of the Greenbelt does not get used that much because it just terminates. And then there's nothing across the street to go to. I mean, you look across the street and there's no sidewalk or anything. So it's not well kept. And since not a lot of people go down that way, it was covered with all these, little pebbles and stuff. And it was real rough skating. I almost fell 5 or 6 times doing it. And I remember now, it's like, okay, remember, when you go down this way, again, don't, just stop at stop at the 2-way of Front Street. There's a bike share there. Just stop there, turn around, and go back. Because it doesn't pay to try to go all the way to the end of the Greenbelt. It just doesn't. There's nothing down there. And I did it just to say I did it. I did fall once, and I fell while crossing Market going south. I was trying to rush across because of the light change, and I was trying to come to a complete stop, and I didn't quite do it, and I hit the curb, and I basically flew right onto the curb, and I was trying to step up onto it as I was moving, and I went down, and my phone fell out. It didn't break the phone. It actually scratched up the casing a little bit right there. You can't really see it. And I have a bruise on my inner right thigh. And I think it is because I actually slammed my knee pad, my left knee pad, into my right thigh when I went down. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of is that's what happened. I slammed my left knee pad into my thigh. So I've got this big bruise now on my right thigh. I was out for a little over 90 minutes. And one of the best parts of it was when I was coming back. By this time, I'd been skating for well over an hour. And my confidence on skating on that surface was up. I mean, going north on the Greenbelt, I'm constantly like watching for stuff. You're monitoring the road ahead essentially, which is what we do in Derby anyway. They tell you to look ahead. You have to look closer forward now when you're skating because you're watching for changes in the terrain. You're watching for sticks. You don't want to hit a stick, especially not if you're going along at a really good clip. And, stones, you don't want to hit those. You don't want to run over anybody. I had to pass a few people on the way back. But I hit a string of music. It was like, here's Peter Gabriel's remade version of I Have the Touch. And then that went into Better Things by Collective Soul. And that went into Hold My Hand by Hootie and the Blowfish. And that went into Eli's Coming by Three Dog Night. And I was just like, really got into the music and was just zipping along. I really was. It wasn't like flat out 27.5 speed, but I was going along at a pretty good clip. I just wasn't taking my time. I was really getting some good push-offs there. So I was traveling around, I don't know, 12, 15 miles an hour, which doesn't sound like a lot until you realize you're doing it yourself and you're on skates. Bicycles, you can go a lot faster. But on skates, no. I took my time going north, but coming south, I was just like really getting into the music. I was like, it's the Skateaway Girl. I really was. I enjoyed it. It was good exercise. And then I went and figured out the distance I skated. And from start to finish, I ended up finishing in front of the Little Lamps coffee roasters on State and Second. And I took off my skates and went inside and had a Pineapple Express, which is a really good drink that they have. It's basically pineapple juice, tonic, and bitters with a wedge of lime. And there's a sprig of something in there. I don't remember what it is. And a shot of espresso, and you just sort of mix up the espresso, and it's a really good, invigorating drink. It's nice and cool and refreshing, but you get a little bit of caffeine kick with it. And then from there, since I had my skates off, I decided, by the time I go back outside, put my skates on, skate back to where I geared up, and then take all my gear off. It's just as quick for me to walk home, and I did. I just walked home. It was only like a 10-minute walk, so I strung my skates over my shoulder and I went home. But the total distance I skated yesterday, and I did it in probably a little over 90 minutes, was 6.28 miles. Or if you do the metric thing, it's 10.1 kilometers. I had some stops. There wasn't like constant skating. I had a couple of stops where I stopped and sat and just enjoyed the river for maybe 3 or 4 minutes just to get my bearings, get my confidence up in terms of skating. But coming back, I did a huge stretch where I didn't stop for probably a mile and a half. I don't know, mile and a half or so. I'd have to actually measure it, but I kept going. You have to stop at Market Street. And I'm actually already starting to work on plans for when I do it next. This Friday the 13th, is actually supposed to be a really nice day. It's supposed to be like 66 degrees. So what I was wearing yesterday was I was wearing my leggings, and I wore my thermal gear top with my hard T-shirt over it. So I was kind of protected from the wind and the chilly, because when you got going, the wind started picking up. And I had all my gear on. I was fully helmeted. I had all my gear because I really didn't want to wipe out. And when I did wipe out, it was a good thing I did have that gear, because I probably would have tore holes in my elbows and stuff like that. And, Didn't want to do it, but it was good exercise. But I was really surprised when I sat down and looked at it. It was like 6.28 miles. Jeez, a little over 6.25 miles in 90 minutes. I don't know what that was. It was a little over 90 minutes. When I figured it out, yeah, it was around 90 minutes. And I based that off of the time I spent on photos. I went back and looked at the photos and looked at the timestamp on the photos. And based on what I could piece together, it was a little over 90 minutes. It was probably closer to 100 minutes. So just zipping along out there. Little old roller girl. Yeah, it was fun. And as I've told other people before, skating is great exercise. I mean, you're going to burn a lot of calories. You burn in just normal skating about 600 calories an hour. That's good. That's good exercise. And it tones up your muscles. I mean, you have to use your glutes. You have to use your quads. You have to use your core. And I only fell one time. I almost fell once. It was stupid because there's a bridge in I Have the Touch by Peter Gabriel where they go into a drum. And I was like trying to drum while skating. And when I started doing this, I almost went back. It, threw me backwards a little bit. And I almost went down in that moment. And it's like when you're going quickly, as we're taught in Derby, you never want to go straight back. It's not good because you'll hurt your back. You could actually break your coccyx bone. And you're going to hit your head. Not to mention the fact, now you're doing it on asphalt. No, and I had a backpack on, so I would have road rashed the shit out of the backpack. And I was like, no, you don't want to do that. And I would have. So that was like, I kind of chided myself afterwards. I was like, that was stupid, Cass. Don't do that again. That was dumb. Don't do that. So I'm going to do it again. I'm kind of hoping to turn it into like a weekly thing. I was, like I said, I was going to the rink to work on stuff. But this would be a better way to actually work on my endurance and on my speed because I could probably work up a couple of paths where getting 6 or 7 miles of skating and doing it in like 90 minutes, that's a pretty good aerobic workout. It really is. That's a pretty good aerobic workout when you think about it. And it'll help. And then you get used to, if you're used to skating on this rough shit like this, probably Monday night when I get on the rink, it's going to be like, woo! This is so nice. It really will. You're just going to take off. And I'm hoping, I need to still get that 27.5 in. So speed and endurance can come when you're skating 6 miles in 90 minutes. Yeah. That's a good workout. And I'm looking at a path now where instead of actually crossing Market Street, I skate across the bridge, the Harvey Taylor Bridge. And then there's a way that you can actually go down, under, and come back up and come over the other side. That bridge itself is about a mile across, is about a mile long. So you're basically adding 2 miles right there if you're skating it. Not to mention you get to do some toe stop work because you have to go down some stairs, I think, to be able to do this. And if you go down some stairs, then, that's toe stop work. I'll have to check it out. I'm going to get on Google Maps and check it out and see what I can figure out. And I could also skate across the Chestnut Street Bridge over to City Island And there's actually a road that goes around City Island. And I don't know how far that would go, but that's another thing that you could do would be to actually skate all the way around City Island, then come back across and get on the parkway. So there are a couple of different paths where I suppose if I chained it all together, I could probably skate about 10 miles. Yeah. And there are actually other paths around the Harrisburg area. We've actually got a couple of rail to trail paths in this area. And those would be kind of cool to skate. And there's actually one that I've wanted to do, which is down south of York. And there's a parking area that would allow you to go to the oldest active tunnel in the United States. And it's about a 2.5 mile route. That's walking. But on skates, I could do that in no time. Yeah, I mean, I'm literally thinking about this now, and it's like, phew, sorry about that. I could actually skate that route and get to the tunnel on my skates. And 2.5 miles on skates that's nothing. We skate that a night during practice, so big deal. So 5 miles round trip is like not a big deal. So I'm actually going to look into that. That might be something that I could do for like a road trip when it's a nice day out, and go down in the morning and go to that place and then get pictures and stuff like that, because why not? In the past, I always wanted to do it, but it was always like, I don't want to have to walk 2.5 miles to get there. Well, 2.5 miles skating is nothing, just like I'll get out there. I actually, in my mind's eye, as I was skating down the path yesterday, and I was like doing the push out, push out, push out, keep your body centered and you're pushing your legs out as you're going. And I had the scene from Whip It in my head where Ellen Page is getting used to being on her skates again and she's skating down the road. So I was like, yeah, I'm a little bit like Babe Ruthless learning how to skate on her Barbie skates. But yeah, there's some rail to trails around here that you could do something where you could skate down to one point and come back, and the rail to trail where you could go to the tunnel. That's something I can do. Yeah, it gets you some exercise, helps me build up my endurance, helps me build up my speed. And it's just interesting. It's interesting stuff. It's the same thing. There's an actual path that leads you to the oldest tunnel in the United States. It's actually out by Johnston, the site of the flood. And it's about a 2-mile hike to get to the tunnel. But if you're on skates, I already proved 2 miles is nothing. I could probably skate 2 miles, taking my time in 20 minutes. So no big shake. This is opening up a whole new area of where I can and can't go. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's also, again, exercise. And it's something that I can do to help build up my aerobic endurance for Derby and my speed. And that's the whole idea behind a lot of this, is that I don't have to now go to the rink and fight with people. I don't have to fight, skating around little kids. I can start building up speed and keep it going. And people on bikes can pass me, and then people on foot, I can pass them. So there we go. I got a whole regime worked out, all because I've got a pair of wheels that work on my skates. So like all Derby girls, we've got like 3 or 4 pair of wheels. I've got 87s, I got 84s, I've got 93s, and probably later in this year, I'll buy 95s or 96s, because when the floor gets nice and sticky, I'm going to need something to help me speed along. So, and I'll need bearings for those too. So that's how it goes. So there you go. That's been my week, and I'll give you an update next week on how the Chamber of Commerce thing goes. And I hope I've got good news. Take care. Bye-bye.